ACP leaders discuss food security. Central Bank Governor says PNG must not be compared to Greece. And relatives of war veterans call for recognition.
This is National EMTV News with Hope Imaka.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Monday's news. Following his address to investors in Cairns earlier this month, Central Bank Governor Loy Bakani has refuted claims that the country's economy is heading towards an economic crisis similar to that of Greece. In an exclusive interview with EMTV, Governor Bakani stated that PNG's economy mustn't be compared to that of the European nation's economy, and fear-mongering commentaries need to stop. Leanne Jarari with more.
It is no secret that the adverse effect of a fall in global commodity prices have slowed the country's economy drastically. Yields from LNG exports have been dismal at best, and projected growth rates have fallen short of target. These results, coupled with the government's heavy borrowing and spending, have inevitably been a cause for concern for Papua New Guineans, fueled by social media commentators and bloggers predicting that the country is headed towards a Greek-style economic crisis. Central Bank Governor Loy Bakani addressed these commentaries, saying that unlike Greece, PNG is not heavily indebted and the comparisons are unfounded.
So far, in the history of Papua New Guinea, we have not defaulted. Government has not defaulted in any of its domestic and foreign debt. So the rumors and the kind of perception been thrown around that we will go into the same crisis as Greece is not correct. It is not true because we are not in the same boat as Greece. We have at the moment very low offshore debt and no commercial. It's all concessional from the multilateral agencies like the World Bank and the ADB and JICA and of course some from other smaller multilateral agencies.
It hasn't been the first time these stark comparisons have been made. In January this year, an opinion piece by former senior executive with the PNG Treasury, Paul Flanagan, was published online in the Australian Financial Review, in which Flanagan blames poor governance and goes as far as stating that the country is turning into an autocratic society. On a more positive note, the Asian Development Bank recently projected that the medium-term outlook for PNG's economy remains positive, despite an expected slowdown this year, with economic growth expected to pick up again in 2018 if short-term macroeconomic management is effective.
4.3% next year is still, I think, should be considered positive. It's still a positive territory, but the trend is a slowdown in growth. Largely because the new projects that are in the pipeline haven't been factored yet into the growth projection. So if those projects come into pipeline, you will have a larger growth projection going forward.
Leanne Jarari, National EMTV News.
A first-of-its-kind national forest inventory for the country is already underway, with various stakeholders working in partnership to have scientists account for species of trees, birds and insects, among others. With the need to have skillful officers equipped during the inventory process, regional trainings are now being conducted. The first training was held in Medang for Mamasa region.
Already launched by the Prime Minister in March this year, this project has taken a multi-stakeholder approach to have scientists in different areas of expertise, which involves the Medang-based Binatang Research Center.
The overall objective of this project is to contribute to the implementation of PNG's policies and measures from climate change mitigation. And the purpose is to support the PNG Forest Authority in implementing a continuous multi-purpose national forest inventory as part of a national forest monitoring system that will fulfill the UNFCCC Cancun and Copenhagen.
Soil experts, foresters, botanists from around the country, and the insects and bird experts from the Binatang Research Center spent a week of discussion in Medang.
We'll use the expertise from the Military Research Center, and there were some international partners.
There are 1,000 clusters or forest plots from around the country that the scientists are studying and will be carrying out this inventory exercise. 50% of these clusters are in the Momase region alone, while the other regions share the other 50%.
A cluster is comprised of 4 plots. So if 1,000, that means we will able to measure or assess 4,000 plots right across the country.
As easy as it may sound, this job of counting every flora and fauna, bearing in mind the whole biodiversity, will need a lot of effort.
We used a 4x4 kilometer grid overlaid on the PNG map.
In order to avoid mistakes and promote effectiveness, the project needs very competent people to confidently achieve results.
This country is very diverse with its flora and fauna. We don't have enough scientists to be able to do this kind of work. So one of the important or key areas that we're looking at is to train our young scientists, our officers, to be able to do this work.
The team appreciates the Madang governor's visit to their workshop and are hoping that will pave the way for their work to be successful in the province. Rachel Shise, National EMTV News, Madang.
The late Professor John Collar was farewelled today in Port Moresby. Described as a man of standards, Professor Collar was one of the top academics that shaped the foundation of the country. Many gathered at the St. Joseph's Catholic Church this morning to pay their last respects.
Families, friends, colleagues, including high-level dignitaries, were present today to farewell the late Professor John Cletus Collar. Described as a humble and a man of principles, Professor Collar was one of the country's top intellects who contributed immensely in educating many young Papua New Guineans. He was born in the Sinesine Yongomul district of Chimbu province on the 14th of March 1958, where he was raised under Christian beliefs as his father was a pioneer Catholic catechist. Before his death, Professor Collar was a senior lecturer at the University of Papua New Guinea before being appointed the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Goroka. He also served in various departments, including the Department of Agriculture and Livestock, where he was once the department secretary. His biggest achievement was being the first Papua New Guinean to obtain a PhD in chemistry. He was 25 years old at that time, making him one of the youngest Papua New Guineans to achieve that. His eldest son Leo Collar said despite all his achievements in his professional life, he was a dedicated father and grandfather. The late professor passed away last week Tuesday in Goroka to a heart attack. His body will be flown to Goroka tomorrow before it is laid to rest in his home village in the Sinesine Yongomul district later this week. He is survived by his wife, 6 children and 15 grandchildren. Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
A 3-man bench Supreme Court ruling is reserved for tomorrow on an application filed by the public prosecutor to dismiss Belden Nama's substantive hearing of reference on his leadership tribunal. The reference hearing was referred up to the Supreme Court for interpretation of a constitutional question. However, public prosecutor lawyer Lias Paul Kandi argued to the court that it was an abuse of process.
On February 1 this year, Acting Judge Sally Koget of the National Court stayed the proceedings of the Leadership Tribunal and referred to the Supreme Court to determine a constitutional question arose relating to the interpretation of Section 169, subsection 4C. Lawyer Kandi argued that the acting judge made an error to refer the reference hearing to the Supreme Court because the manner in which the referral was made was an abuse of process, and he asked the Supreme Court to dismiss it before the hearing. He also argued that the court did not listen to the plaintiff Belden Nama or the defendants before handing down its decision. Nama's lawyer Greg Shepard responded that the Supreme Court is the specific court for references such as these to be challenged. Mr. Shepherd was surprised about the application today and told the court that it was also an abuse of process committed by the public prosecutor. The court will make its ruling tomorrow. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
Morobe students in Unitec are calling on their political representatives to leave government ranks. At the weekend, Morobe students organized a forum to express their views after sending out invitations to all 10 MPs of the province. The boycott is continuing and access to the university is restricted as students from the Highlands return from a week-long awareness campaign in the Highlands provinces.
The forum was also attended by Ahi clan leaders and the chairman of the Morobe Law and Order Committee. While some of the students are in other provinces conducting awareness on the state of affairs of the country, Morobe students petitioned their 9 district MPs, including Governor Kelly Naru, to attend the forum on Saturday. The students said their call for the Prime Minister's office to be respected still stands.
Missing out purposely, if they know that something is not right in the government, then the parliament session is just next week.
Only 3 MPs attended: Ross Seymour, Huon Gulf, Bulolo MP Sam Basil, and the PNC strongman and Kabum MP Bob Dadai. While he was given an opportunity to speak, reactions from the student body were mixed as he outlined what the PNC under the PM's leadership had done.
After 2012 election, when Prime Minister Peter O'Neill came into power, emergency focus. Because majority of Papua New Guineans live in the rural areas.
The deputy opposition leader Sam Basil told students the opposition would be moving a vote of no confidence tomorrow. He wants the issues raised by the students resolved in Parliament and by parliamentarians as soon as possible.
Mipla must use him rights Mipla lo floor blo Parliament. Mipla ba time can lo Tuesday, but Mipla put him vote of no confidence. Now this is the right way and the right venue to make a change, not on the streets. So me believe posem all member blo Morobe all kisim message pinis all Arapla member blo Arapla provinces and districts throughout Papua New Guinea all kisim toksawe pinis.
There's been strong political interest in the growing student movement over the past month. Initially, community leaders and senior politicians tried to dispel that movement by calling on students to go back to class. But students have since taken to social media forums, including Facebook, to speak to a voter population aged between 18 and 40.
Despite the fact that the previous referendum for a boycott was declared illegal by the Electoral Commissioner, the boycott has still continued anyway, with students expanding their awareness to the Highlands, Medang and the East Sepik. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lae.
A diploma enhancement skills program for the students at the Caritas Technical Secondary School is underway. This was announced by Higher Education Minister Malakai Tabar, who was the keynote speaker at the Caritas Technical Secondary School's 21st Technical and Open Day. The school offers programs incorporated with technical training for young women.
Speaking at the Caritas Technical Secondary School Open House Day, Minister Tabar said the plan for the diploma program is for it to be recognized outside of the country. Minister Tabar said this is because Papua New Guinea has not yet been recognized as yet in the Pacific Qualification Framework.
So effectively over the 2 years, 3 years, we would like to make sure we can bring a diploma program into Caritas. We would like to make sure that people who live grade 12 Caritas Secondary Technical School, they can also be part of a technical skills enhancement diploma program that Caritas will administer in this institution.
Minister Tabar congratulated the school for its 21 years of establishment, providing social, educational and skills training to young women.
A responsibility of institutions to make sure, apart from trying to enhance the academic and the skills areas of one's student's life, I believe we also have that responsibility of improving their personal behavior and their spiritual life.
The Open House Day was jam-packed with performances by students in drama and role-playing, musical performances, competitions to showcase students' talent in various fields such as IT, cosmetology, and nail art. Other presentations include a taekwondo presentation by students that wowed the crowd. The Caritas Open House Day was a huge success with only standing room in the gymnasium. Other special guests yesterday included Korean Ambassador, His Excellency Kim Song-chun, and Department of Education Acting Secretary, Dr. Uke Kombra. Merlin Diaukatam, National EMTV News.
Families of the famous Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels are calling on the government to improve the Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels program and give more recognition to the war veterans. The appeal was made after a surviving Fuzzy Wuzzy Angel was admitted to a hospital in Port Moresby and struggles with medical and travel costs.
Lumani Greg Koive is the son of his surviving Fuzzy Wuzzy Angel. His father, Koga Lumani Dukuve, was 12 years old when he fought alongside Australian soldiers during World War II along the Kokoda Trek. After 75 years, the 87-year-old man has been diagnosed with malaria and admitted at the Port Moresby General Hospital. His son Greg, with little help he received from local MP Delilah Gore, managed to look after his father in the hospital.
He's admitted to the 3 Mile Hospital, and I'm staying outside the 3 Mile Hospital, just making a bed on the side of the road, staying there and looking after him, moving in and out of the hospital, making sure that he recovers, and then I'll take him back home.
The turnout has forced the family to appeal to the government to improve the Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels program.
I really want to tell our government that, this kind of people, they are statesmen. They even, through these people, at least they did something. They did fight. They did carry cargoes. They did carry wounded soldiers. Like now, the treatment that I'm facing with my old man is not really good.
They said the war veterans had never been compensated or properly recognized by both Australia and PNG.
So, like the treatment that they've done to my father, I find it, it's very, very hard to look after my old man in such a situation like this when he's very, very sick.
In return, no got benefit go on my family.
During the Anzac Day this year, Greg's father was awarded a lifetime badge in Sydney, Australia. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
Ahead in the news, Day 1 of the African, Caribbean, Pacific Leaders Summit. We'll have the details after the break. Welcome back. President of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, touched down at the Jackson's International Airport yesterday afternoon. His arrival is historical in that it marks the first visit from a Zimbabwean president to PNG, and he is the only president among world leaders at the 8th ACP Leaders Summit. The Zimbabwean leader is the country's only president since it gained independence in 1974, and his strong views on Zimbabwean and African rights have made him popular the world over. EMTV regrets having unintentionally described the African leader in contrary to that established fact.
After over an hour's delay to his flight, Mugabe arrived at 6:30 p.m. on a privately chartered aircraft Zimbabwe. Accompanied by his wife, Zimbabwe's First Lady Grace Mugabe, the president disembarked the aircraft to a red carpet welcome onto PNG soil. He was received by the Minister for National Events, Justin Tachenko, and Public Service Minister Sir Puka Temu, among other members of Parliament and officers from the Department of Foreign Affairs. The president was quickly escorted away under heavy police security. President Mugabe and his entourage will be attending the 8th summit of the African, Caribbean and Pacific heads of states and governments, along with 78 other ACP developing states for the next 2 days. Nilisi Gaviro, National EMTV News.
PNG officials will be meeting with European representatives on the sidelines of the African Caribbean Pacific Summit. Speaking to EMTV today, Treasurer Patrick Proich said PNG would be pushing to review agreements, especially for fisheries. The Treasurer says the government will be hoping for a reviewed agreement before the conclusion of the ACP meet.
I will be particularly involved with, again, European Investment Bank and the European Commission this afternoon, basically to talk about trade and, of course, investment opportunities for our country in that regard. Our officials are working to ensure that there are some agreements in place, but I'll be talking on promotion of tourism and, fisheries, and in fact, the European Union have done a great job in terms of making sure that Papua New Guinea products can enter the European market.
Local entrepreneurs were also given the opportunity to market Papua New Guinea's raw potential in the form of handicraft to the international community at the ACP Summit. Founder of Authentic PNG, Dana Roapa, and her husband David were spotted at the convention center selling an assortment of these invaluable artworks they collected from around PNG.
The couple displayed an impressive array of artifacts, from bilums to clay crafts, wooden carvings, and framed metal artworks, to name a few. Through their business, Authentic PNG, the couple invests their time in collecting artwork from local craftspeople around the country. David said this was their chance to showcase PNG talent to the international community attending the ACP Summit.
We took this opportunity because through the display of the arts and the crafts that we have, it displays the uniqueness about this country and the originality about this country.
David and his wife established their business 6 months ago to fulfill their passion to market raw PNG-made artifacts.
With the unique cultures that we have, the customs that we have, we need to promote them in a manner like this, where we've got, abilities and skills that are deposited in most Papua New Guineans, and they can display that through the art and the culture.
The couple has so far collected from as far as the Highlands, Popondetta, Wewak and Morobe in the past 6 months, and plan to branch out to other parts of PNG in the future. At the moment, their main focus is to take ownership of the market as Papua New Guineans and provide an avenue for local craftspeople whose artwork many times go unrecognized.
True representation of any culture, for that matter for Papua New Guinea, can only be done by Papua New Guineans. So that's one of our ultimate goals.
Melissa Gaviro, National EMTV News.
The opposition is pleased that PNG is hosting the African Caribbean Pacific Group of States Summit. Opposition leader Don Polye, in a media conference today, said the opposition will support the ACP leaders and heads of states in the country. He added that the summit is an opportunity to discuss free trade agreements to develop business opportunities.
Of the ACP. We believe that between and amongst ACP nations and peoples, we should have free trade taking place amongst these countries. So you give them that liberalized trade within those member countries to free up the economy and to have those economies integrated. We also believe that the ACP nations should have free trade agreement with European countries.
And now looking at our finance news. The Kina opened unchanged at $0.3160 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3085 US, $0.4265 Australian dollars, $0.2745 euro and 33.86 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, cocoa closed higher while gold, coffee and copper closed the day lower. Palm oil and crude oil closed lower while copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 44.93 points higher. The ASX closed at 0.02 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 1.78 points higher. Tension high in Mount Hagen following a tribal killing, a man sentenced for sexually abusing a child, and overseas a gorilla killed and a boy saved. Those stories when we come back. Welcome back. A man from the Jika tribe was murdered last night in Mount Hagen City. The male in his mid-40s is from Korapul village on the outskirts of Hagen City. Acting Provincial Police Commander Chief Inspector Jacob Kamiak said the victim was murdered by neighboring tribesmen from the Moket tribe. This morning, the relatives of the deceased retaliated by burning down houses belonging to the Moket tribesmen. Quick intervention by Mount Hagen-based mobile squad prevented further destruction to properties. Although the situation is still tense, it was business as usual in the city today. One prime suspect in this murder has surrendered to police and is now in police custody. Another is yet to surrender. Police investigations are still continuing, with police patrolling the villages to ensure tension is controlled. The National Court today sentenced a 36-year-old man to 17 years with hard labor for sexually abusing a 7-year-old girl. Presiding Judge Fraser Pitpit asked the lawyer representing him to work out the time he spent in remand and deduct it from the initial 17-year sentence imposed. The court heard that in April 2013, Nabi Tam had gone into the house of the victim and abused her.
The court heard that in April 2013, Nabi Tam had gone to the house of the victim after church service and sexually abused the girl. The 7-year-old was with her other siblings in the house by themselves. Their parents had gone to visit a relative in the village. The girl was Nabi's niece. The court added he had also attended the church service with the victim's family and had returned home with the victim and her other siblings to the house without their parents. The victim reported the matter to her parents, who then reported it to police. In another case last Friday, Judge Fraser Pitpit also sentenced 47-year-old Regina Beaton to 10 years and her husband Gideon Beaton to 23 years in prison for sexually abusing their 13-year-old adopted daughter. The court added the couple planned the abuse and the woman facilitated the abuse of their adopted daughter. The sexual abuses had continued until the victim became pregnant in 2013 and gave birth to a baby boy in 2014. The mother of the victim also found out and reported the matter to the police. At the Family Support Center in Leh, the rate of child sexual abuse is disturbing. 15 cases are reported every day. Most of the crimes are committed by family members or people who know the victims and their families. These two sentences are the most significant cases prosecuted by the Leh Family and Sexual Violence Unit. Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Leh.
Police in Manus have reported a murder incident at Lopohan village in Lorengau over the weekend. The deceased, Alois Simon, was at his house when a group of men were under the influence of homebrew, approached his house and attacked him. The deceased was stabbed several times in the rib and head, resulting in his death. Meanwhile, police have intervened to prevent retaliatory attacks from the relatives of the victims. 6 suspects involved in the brutal killing have been arrested and locked up at the Manus police station cell for questioning. Police are yet to establish the cause of the attack. And now heading overseas, a zoo in the United States is defending its decision to kill a gorilla to save a young boy. Here is how the incident unfolded.
A day of panic and desperation at the Cincinnati Zoo.
We're getting a second run to the Cincinnati Zoo, and this is in a gorilla cage, and a 3-year-old child has fallen into the gorilla cage.
A 4-year-old boy slips into the zoo's gorilla habitat and over a moat wall. Suddenly, Harambe, a 17-year-old, 400-pound gorilla, approaches the boy. His mother watches in horror at what happens next.
Oh my God!
Everybody back up. I'll take you. Mommy's right here.
The young boy screams. The urgent calls to 911 can be heard on this bystander video. The family tries desperately to keep him calm as Harambe takes him out of sight. Harambe drags the boy around the moat and up a ladder for a total of 10 minutes as the zoo's dangerous animal response team anxiously decides what to do next.
The little boy himself had already been talking about wanting to go in, get in the water, and his mother's like, no, you're not, no, you're not. I don't know if the screaming did it or too many people hanging on the edge, if he thought we were coming in, but then he, pulled the boy down further away from the big group.
Engine 32. Start to leave. The gorilla has the child and is dragging him around the pen.
Officials considered the incident so threatening, deciding Harambe must be taken down immediately.
The reason that tranquilizing was not chosen is in an agitated situation, which the male was, it may take quite a while for a tranquilizer to take effect, but certainly at the instant he would be hit, he would have a dramatic response. You don't hit it and he falls over. I mean, it would take a few minutes. The child wasn't under attack, but all sorts of things could happen in a situation like that. So he certainly was at risk.
They say their only option, a rifle. Harambe was shot and killed. The child was taken to Cincinnati's Children's Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
We have rescued the child. Disregard everybody. Children have been notified for a trauma.
It's a sad day all the way around. The right choice was made. It was a difficult choice.
Harambe was a western lowland gorilla, a critically endangered species. The zoo had hoped he would eventually father other gorillas.
We love this zoo. It's very friendly. Everything is beautiful here. But when you see something like that and then you have the disappointment, because what do you say to your grandchildren?
A mother in the southern state of Karnataka in India has given birth to a baby girl weighing 6.8 kilograms, considered to be India's heaviest newborn. The 19-year-old woman, known only as Nandini, gave birth after a cesarean section at a hospital in Hassan district last Monday. The surgery was conducted as the mother was a diabetic. Though both baby and mother are healthy, doctors have kept the duo under observation to assess the reason for the baby being overweight. Previously, what's considered the heaviest baby in India was born in 2015, weighing 6.7 kilograms. A baby boy born in Italy in 1955 holds the Guinness World Record for the heaviest infant, which survived, weighing 10.2 kilograms. The joint meeting of the ACP Council of Ministers and the ACP Ministers of Foreign Affairs was held today behind closed doors at the International Convention Center. A media conference was held following that meeting. Co-President and Minister for Foreign Affairs and Immigration Rimbing Pato said the preparatory discussions focused on two key points. Trukai Sports is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. She's a Pacific Games gold medalist, Papua New Guinea's Masters world record holder for powerlifting, and an all-round great example of whom and what a female athlete should be. 44-year-old Linda Pulsan set a world record in the 72-kilogram division last year after recording 190 kilograms for the squat, 102 kilograms for the bench press, and 192 kilograms for deadlifts, and a total of 487 kilograms in the Open Women's Division Championships, as well as snatching a gold medal in the 2015 Pacific Games. Her efforts may be very well commended this weekend, as she stands a very high chance of snatching the Female Athlete of the Year award in this year's SB Sports Awards.
The mother of two, who reigns from the Manus province, is the first female Papua New Guinean to win gold in the 72-kilogram category at the 2011 Pacific Games in Noumea, New Caledonia. Linda Paulsen took powerlifting as a serious career path in 2007 and has since been her biggest success in life. While being a lifter herself, Paulsen has also been a dedicated trainer to younger and upcoming lifters.
We are so proud that she's in the powerlifting team, that she has won the medals, and just to keep the team ongoing in powerlifting.
She may very well be remembered for her victorious lift during the 2015 Pacific Games in front of an ever-so-patriotic crowd. Paulsen went head-to-head with Samoan Vanessa Louis in the 72 kg bench press and deadlift. She lifted 97.5 kilograms for bench press and squatted 183.5 kilograms. She's a fighter and a tough competitor. This weekend, she's up against Toya Whistle and Abigail Terra-Pisa for the Female Athlete of the Year award, all who have been nominated in previous years for their outstanding results and contribution to their respective codes. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
In football, defending OFC champions Tahiti once again proved worthy when they thrashed Samoa 4-0 in the second match of OFC Nations Cup Day 2 at Sir John Guy's Stadium yesterday, being displaced as favourites due to their much younger squad with only 6 men from the previous that lifted the trophy in 2012. Tahiti has proven that they are here to play football.
That role. Well, that's good cover.
Tahiti's number 10, Taunui Tehau, scored an easy goal in just the first minute of the first half.
With Samoa don't have much of the ball, Taunui Tehau has opened the scoring.
Another goal scored in the 4th minute as Samoa fights to keep Tahiti from scoring again.
It's a lovely header, and it's 2-0.
Despite Samoa's efforts to keep them at bay, Tahiti's Stevie Chong Hughes scores the 3rd goal 14 minutes into the first half.
From the team in all red, and a chance. Oh, what a strike that was!
A crowd of 4,720 was kept on their feet as Alvin Tehau scores the 4th goal for Tahiti in the 38th minute.
And Tahiti increased their lead to 4.
By second half, Samoa's defense tightened up, and that kept the scoreline at 4-0 in favor of Tahiti. But chances for Samoa to score were close to none as Tahiti stood the ground.
And adding to this tally, here's an overlap from Stevie Chong Hui down the left.
By full time, the score stood at 4-0 in favor of Tahiti. Dinero Shriko, National EMTV Sports.
With PNG's under-20 women succumbing to a 10-goal deficit to Japan in the opening fixture of the Tri-Nation Series, the stakes are even higher as they face a more athletic side in Team USA tonight. Head coach Lisa Coles has said that Japan are more dynamic and very technical in their passing game with quick transitions and counterattacks. But the Americans have a different style of play altogether and one PNG could stand up to.
Papua New Guinea were taught a valuable lesson in their first encounter with the reigning FIFA Women's Under-20 World Cup champions, Japan. According to PNG coach Lisa Cole, Japan had better game sense, instinct, were more quicker, faster, and had mobility, but his side fought to the last minute. However, those who turned out to watch the game would agree that PNG was competent from start to finish. It may be their first international experience and a learning curve for most of them. The girls will have to step up their game when they face Team USA, who plays a different style of football from that of Japan's.
The USA will give us different challenges. Japan's very technical, and you saw how quick they move the ball and how quickly they are able to transition. The US will be athletic all over the field. They'll still be good technically, but not quite as good as Japan in their 1-2 touch passing. So it'll be a different, more physical challenge.
PNG will depend on the services of striker Ramona Padio and Mari Kaipu to get past the US defense, led by Sabrina Flores, Natalie Jacobs and Ellie Jean. While the Americans disappointed with their 5-0 encounter with Japan, Team USA are expected to go full throttle in tonight's game. The players to look out for will be the likes of striker Eli Watt, Jesse Scarpa, and Ashley Sanchez, who were kept quiet the last time, but will be expected to break their silence. Three-day Tri-Nation Series will come to close tonight at 7 p.m. as the host PNG face off with Team USA at the Sir John Guy Stadium. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back. In round 14 of Super Rugby, defending champions, the Hurricanes, just edged the Highlanders with a 27-20 win at Westpac Stadium in Wellington. This result pushes Hurricanes above the Highlanders in the New Zealand Conference and fourth on the Australasian Group standings. The New South Wales Waratahs also climbed up the ranks after their biggest win against the Hamilton Chiefs in Allianz Stadium over the weekend.
Trans-Tasman battle, top of the table in Australia, top of the table in New Zealand.
The New South Wales franchise have kept their Super Rugby finals hopes alive after a thrilling 45-25 defeat over New Zealand Conference leaders, the Chiefs, in Sydney on Friday evening.
Mackenzie, pull away the glasses. Israel Folau in for a try.
The weekend's performance proved to be their best of the season, outscoring the Chiefs by 6 tries to 4, with Michael Hooper and Israel Folau both scoring 2 each.
Michael Hooper!
That's a scrum.
Hooper, Folau and Aussie scrum half Nick Phipps' attacking flares was also a boost for Wallabies coach Michael Cheika ahead of the Rugby Championships next month.
And Israel Folau has got a double.
The results go on record as the Chiefs' first loss on the road this season, also extending their winless streak in Sydney since 2007.
And the Waratahs, they continue this dominance over the Chiefs at Allianz Stadium in Sydney.
The loss also drags them down to the 5th spot on the overall combined Super Rugby standings, as the Crusaders remain up top following their 26-21 victory over the Auckland Blues, while the Hurricanes and Highlanders trail not far behind in 6th and 7th place.
Highlanders, they knew that he was coming, or penalty right out in front of the post. Don't need it. Adi Savia scores the winning try.
Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
Kangaroos and Queensland halfback Cooper Cronk still in doubt ahead of Wednesday's game 1 of the State of Origin 2016. An ankle injury may force the star halfback to sit the series opener on the sideline, but Queensland captain Cameron Smith says Cronk still has a chance of playing, although it isn't guaranteed.
A mishap at training sees Cooper Cronk carrying an ankle injury just days away from Game 1 of Origin.
Check the lead.
Cronk, however, hasn't been ruled out just yet by his teammates and coach, who said he still could make the team before kickoff on Wednesday, depending on his recovery. In his absence, North Queensland Cowboys 5'8" Michael Morgan has been called into the Queensland camp. Morgan will pair with teammate Thurston in the halves if Cronk isn't game ready. In the New South Wales camp, Josh Morris has been summoned back into the squad following Josh Dugan aggravating an elbow injury he'd been carrying at training. Morris takes over Dugan's spot at right centre in Origin 1 on Wednesday night, resuming the one-on-one battles with Maroons great Greg Inglis that has provided plenty of highlights in recent seasons. Dugan had been confident of playing despite the hyperextended elbow injury he suffered playing for St. George Illawarra against South Sydney 2 weeks ago. But he sustained a knock at training on Saturday in the Blues' final session at Coffs Harbour that changed that. Dion Kombang, National EMTV Sports.
That ends Trukai Sports. The weather details when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, fine although cloudy at times for Port Moresby. Mostly fine for Daru, Alatau and Popondetta, and coastal showers for Kerema. In the Momasa region, mostly fine for Lae and Medang, and thundery showers for Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands, thundery showers for Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul, a shower or two for Kimbe, and morning showers for Buka. And in the Highlands region, morning fog lifting for all centres. Sustainable agriculture for food security was discussed today at the side event of the African, Caribbean and Pacific Group of States Summit. The high-level panel was organized by the ACP Secretariat and CTA, which is the Technical Center for Agriculture and Rural Cooperation. The meeting was in line with the theme of the summit, which is repositioning the ACP Group to respond to the challenges of sustainable development. Deli Waigeno with this report.
The side event on sustainable agriculture highlighted the pressing need for major action to be taken on food and agriculture globally, the ACP states included. Director of CTA Michael Hailu said the need to adapt agricultural systems to respond to climate change and extreme weather events has never been more urgent.
As you know, food production has to increase by at least 70%. to meet the projected global population growth of 9 billion people by 2050.
It was discussed that transforming agriculture as an engine for growth in the ACP will require significant, well-coordinated investments by the public and private sectors.
Agro-industry and the agribusiness are clear avenues for inclusive growth.
The Deputy Prime Minister of Namibia said long-term innovative financing that's responsive to the needs of both large-scale and smallholder farmers in a one-size-fits-all is not a solution. She said smart agriculture production is needed. The role women play in agricultural systems as producers was also mentioned. They contribute to the labor force and are central in ensuring household nutrition and driving entrepreneurship and demand in the sector. Executive Director of the PNG Women in Business, Janet Sape, shared the experiences of women in Papua New Guinea. Given the dominance of agriculture in the economy of most ACP countries, the panel discussed that increased productivity in the sector will be a key driver and a critical component of inclusive growth. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
The joint meeting of the ACP Council of Ministers and the ACP Ministers of Foreign Affairs was held today behind closed doors at the International Convention Center. A media conference was held following that meeting. Co-President and Minister for Foreign Affairs and Immigration, Rimbing Pato, said the preparatory discussions focused on two key points.
Of course, two of the main key things which we discussed in the meeting today were two major documents. One is the Port Moresby Declaration, which looks at the operational issues of the ACP group moving forward in terms of its political structure and the operations of the Secretariat. The other major document on which we will advise the ACP heads of state and government is the Waigani communique, in which the ministers had the opportunity to look at and discuss what will be the future perspectives of the ACP group come 2020 when the Cotonou Agreement.
And that's the news, sports and weather for tonight, Monday the 30th of May 2016. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Hopi Maka. Pleasant viewing. Good night.